Hey everybody, welcome to the Gather Together online class. I'm so excited about these projects. We have some really awesome cards and a cute boxed set of cards to make, and I can't wait for you to see them all. For this class, you will need the Gather Together stamp set and coordinating framelits. You'll also need the DSP, the ribbon combo pack, and the wood elements. And that all can be ordered with one item code number, which is the Come Together Suite. So that's pretty awesome. If you don't have these items, you will need them to complete your projects. If you ordered a pre-cut cardstock pack, you want to pull all the cards stuck out in order because it is in order of the cards that we're going to make. I do have a tip for you, and actually let me reach behind me. When you are die cutting these leaves, what I recommend doing, and here I'll take one to kind of show you. Do you see how there's kind of the lighter veins and then the darker background on the leaf? To get that effect, what you want to do is take your cardstock and a Stampin' Spritzer and just give it a spritz. I like to kind of smear the water around so it's even because otherwise it's kind of pools up. And then run it through your die cut machine like this. And when you do that, you get that cool effect of the lighter veins and the darker leaves. I have no idea why. When it dries, it's just darker. It's kind of cool. So try that out, and you'll get a cool effect. Now for our first project, we are going to make a really cool boxed set. For this, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock in early espresso, and the dimensions are 6 7/8 by 4 1/4. So on each of these, I'm going to take and stamp the background in early espresso ink with the large leaf stamp. And sorry, I lost my early espresso, but I found it. It's okay. All right, so I'm just going to stamp that leaf all over. Like so. And then we're going to score these 2 pieces as well to form our box. Okay. And as long as we're stamping, I'm going to stamp my sentiment on a little stitched nested label. This I die cut from the printed paper, and this piece is 2 1/4 inches across. And if you don't have these dies, you can use a similar punch or a label. It's excuse me, totally up to you. Okay, so I'm going to stamp my sentiment in early espresso ink right on here. And then I'm also going to add the little, what is this called? Wheat stalk that I'm going to stamp in Pretty Peacock Stamped Off. So I stamped off a layer, and then I'll stamp that right on like that. Okay, and then I will adhere that to a coordinating sized label that I die cut. Now again, if you don't have these labels, use something similar. It does not matter. You don't have to layer it up either. So if you want to use like the Everyday Label Punch or the Pretty Label Punch, any of those labels that we have will really work just fine for this. And you don't have to layer it up, but that's what I've got. All right, now we're done stamping. So I'm going to take my trimmer and score, as I mentioned, on those lines. Okay, so I'm going to score everything at 1 1/4 inches. All right, so that is really easy. That's also this last line on this side of our trimmer, so that makes it kind of easy to do. I will also tell you that the new trimmer is coming. If you're a demonstrator, you can pre-order it starting October 1st. If you're a customer, they'll be available shortly after that. Okay, so I'm going to do it on 3 sides. So like the 2 shorter sides and then the one longer side. Okay, and I like that I can just use that same measurement for each of these scoring places. Okay, and then we'll cut the tabs like you would to form a box. I'm sure you've done something like this before. So I'll just go ahead, and there's a little diagram in your instructions, by the way. So I'm just going to cut on that score line, and then I'm just going to cut a little sliver off inside that tab. So on the square part, not the rectangle part. So I'll cut on my line, and then just to the inside, I'll cut a little sliver out, and that just makes your box fold up nicely, which is awesome. Okay. And there we go. Now to put this together, we're of course going to take our bone folder and burnish on all those score lines so that our box will fit together really nicely. The beauty of this is that you can do it with 8.5 by 11 cardstock, which I appreciate because I don't carry 12 by 12 that much anymore. And especially when I'm prepping for classes, I would have to buy an awful lot of assortment packs to have 12 by 12 cardstock for this box. So you could do it out of one piece if you had 12 by 12, but this is why I like 8.5 by 11. Okay, so now to put our box together, we're going to adhere our 2 flaps, okay, and then likewise, and then actually we're going to pull, on one of these, we're going to get rid of the flap. I'm sorry, I meant to tell you that before. Okay, so just on one of them. So then we'll glue those flaps. You can use tear and tape, you can use liquid glue. I wouldn't use snail. So I'm going to put adhesive on 3 of these sides. Woo! Got a little crazy there. That's okay. All right. And I'm going to just line them up with my bottom. Of course, we'll pull that piece in. And then my side. And then we'll put that piece in. I've really kind of got it puzzling together here just a little bit. It's nice because then it fits wonderfully. Now here's the other benefit of using glue is if you need to adjust slightly, you have the opportunity to do that. Now I do like to push on each of the sides that I've glued just to make sure it's adhered well. Now to push on the bottom, just put your glue at the bottom and kind of go across there like so. Be careful of the tabs that are in there. So there's just a plain box bottom, okay? And we're going to make cards to fit in it, but you can see they just fit in like that, okay? Now, next up, what we're going to do is decorate this a little bit. So I need 2 pieces of 8 3/4 by 2 inch of pretty peacock. And then I also need 1 3/4 by 8 3/4 inch pieces of coordinating cards of printed paper. So I will adhere these together. Like so. And then we're going to also score these, just one little score line on each. And these are going to form kind of the handle of our box. You'll see what I mean here in just a moment. Okay. All right. So next I'm going to take, and you can use any tag punch you would like. And if you don't, this is the new tag punch. If you don't have a tag punch, you can just kind of notch the sides like a tag. Okay, so I'm just gonna, oops, you know what, this happened to me last night too. I didn't quite punch it all the way. Let me demonstrate. I think actually it was because I had cardstock in there. Oh, that's happening. You know what? I wonder if my punch is defective. I might call Stampin' Up! About this. All right, so I've got my top pieces. And then what I need to do is score at the bottom of these at 1 1/4 inch. Okay, which is, if you recall, the same that we scored our box at. Okay, so I'm going to give that a good score. By the way, the new paper trimmer scores like a dream. It scores way better than this one. I think this doesn't score that well. So I'm excited about that. Okay, and then just like before, we're going to burnish our cardstock on those score lines, and then we're going to wrap this around the box like so. So we'll glue those two sides together. Okay. And I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive on the side. You want to make sure you've kind of got that centered on there. And you don't want to go too far up. So you don't want the glue to stick out. But again, I'm always amazed that you don't really need that much glue to really get this to stay together. And then you can just line these up together on the bottom so that they're nice and even. Okay, so that looks good. And then I'll press on the insides. Next up, I'm going to embellish it with our little pieces. So I've got my sentiment, which I'm just going to pop up on here with a couple of dimensionals, and then I'm going to tuck in some leaves that I've gone ahead and die cut. So for instance, and then we're also going to use a couple of wood elements. Now for the wood elements, I'm going to color them with my ink a little bit. Okay, so we'll put that right there, and then we'll tuck these in with some glue dots. All right, so I'm going to put one leaf right there. Another leaf below. And oops, I need this leaf. And then this leaf right here. And then finally, I'm going to take a couple of those wood leaves. So I've got this striped one and then this kind of solid one. And I'm going to color these with my ink. So on the striped one, I'm just going to touch this into my Early Espresso ink pad. And then the other one I'm going to do with my Pretty Peacock ink pad. The next thing I need to do, though, is wipe off the excess ink with a tissue. Okay, so I'll just take and wipe off that excess ink. And you can see the printing that's on it kind of resists it. So it colors it, but it makes kind of a cool effect. So isn't that pretty? So you can customize your leaves. And then we'll just tuck those in with some glue dots as well. And then last but not least, we're simply going to pop this up. Oops, sorry. Tie this all together is what I actually meant to say, with some of our ribbon, which has gotten away from me. Okay, so I'll take this, and then I'm going to put these cards in. I'm going to show you how to make the cards in the next video, but I'll put my cards in there and then tie this up so it looks fancy. Okay, I'll tie this upside down. That'll tie better. That's kind of my secret to getting bows to tie the way you want them, is to tie it upside down. And look at that. So there is our beautiful boxed set of cards. Isn't this awesome? All right, the next video will show you how to make the cards.